Be among the first 20 people to respond on our social media platforms. Make sure you like and follow our Facebook and Twitter pages at Bethany TV Uganda. Then post the right answer in the comment section, providing the time the question was asked on Bethany TV, the program and the show presenter that asked the question. Was it on The Healthy Morning, on Be Hopeful, or the playlist? The winner of the day will be announced on the Sunset Lounge at 5 p.m. every weekday. Watch Bethany TV and win big.
Olugendo lw'okuwona lulabisibwa mu ngeri ez'enjawulo. Abantu abamu bwe tubalaba nga bakola emirimu gyabwe tulowooza nti bali bulungi, so nga abamu bakomye ku mugo gwa ntaana ate nga abalala bameggana na bulumi bwa kumira ddagala. Ekyebuuzibwa kiri nti how did they do it? Their stories are hope-giving, and because they did it, everyone else can't do it. Catch different people as they share their stories with me, Winnie Mbabazi, on the Be Hopeful show here Monday to Friday 9 a.m. on Bethany TV for Health.
You alright? Did you call 911?
A great drama on saving lives.
No pulse?
Clear?
Right in the city's most explosive hospital, and the courageous team of doctors who hold it together, saving lives with everything they got.
Harder, let's go!
But she's so small.
Come on, Sarah, harder!
I just broke a little girl's ribs.
You saved the girl's life.
Help! Anyone!
I found her collapsed on the sidewalk.
Chicago Med Season 1.
Every time those doors crash open, there are good people, strong people, people at the top of their game ready on the other side.
I became a doctor to save people's lives. It's all I've ever wanted to do.
Showing Monday to Friday, 9 p.m. Repeats Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. Right here on Bethany TV. Bethany TV for Health. Bethany TV for Health.
A household is food secure if it can reliably gain access to food in sufficient quantity and quality for all household members to enjoy a healthy and active life. It can only achieve nutrition security when it has secure access to food, coupled with a sanitary environment, adequate health services, and knowledgeable care to ensure a healthy life for all household members. On the nutrition spot, with our nutritionists Dennis Mugumya, Assistant Lecturer, Makerere University, and Claire Atkunda from Food Governance and Rights Alliance, we discuss food security in detail.
Bethany TV for Health.
Now, food security in Uganda has been faced a number of challenges, including the growing numbers of the people and also climate change, talk of the socio-economic factors, and so many other factors. However, so many interventions have been put in place to make sure that food insecurity is dealt with. And tonight on the Nutrition Spot, we really want to understand in detail what food security is all about. You're so much welcome onto the Nutrition Spot. My name is Giftina Kayinga with my guests in the studio, Dennis and Atkunda. We're going to be discussing food security and how does it impact or affect our nutrition status. Well, if you are watching Bethany TV live, kindly go on to our different social medias, get hold of your phones. I believe you have your phones with you, so get hold of your phone and go on YouTube, Bethany TV, kindly subscribe and like. Go on to Facebook, do the same, Bethany TV Uganda, like and also follow. You can also follow us on Instagram and follow us on Twitter, Bethan TV, everywhere. You can also go on your status on WhatsApp and put Bethan TV for health. We shall be so much grateful. If you want to be a part of that discussion tonight, just go on to different social media platforms, maybe on Twitter, on YouTube, and put your thoughts or your submissions. We believe today it's been amazing, whereby everyone was waiting for the budget to be read, and yes, it was read. So in your different sector, it could be in health, it could be in agriculture, it could be in transportation. Maybe now you're thinking, was the money allocated for this particular thing enough? So now for me tonight, I'm concerned about health and agriculture, because we're discussing food security and its impact on our nutrition. So let me welcome my guests onto the show to say hello, and we get deep into what food security is all about. Dennis, you so much welcome. Greetings to the viewers of Bethan TV.
Thank you so much, Gift. I welcome all of you to this show. My name is Mugumya Dennis from Makerere University, a nutritionist. And I welcome tonight's topic, which is food security, where we are going to talk about it in detail. How do you achieve food security in your household? You as an individual, because you might be a student, you might be living somewhere. So food security is so broad that channels all the way from an individual to household level and international level, as we shall see. And international level. Yeah, actually, thank you so much. And someone might be wondering, why should we have nutritionists talk about food security? Of course, food security, for one to achieve nutritional security, it must be food secure. So you see, it is actually very good bond. Yeah. Thank you so much. Atkunda, you're so much welcome.
Thank you so much, Gift, for having me. Good evening, listeners. My name is Claire Atkunda. I am a program manager food governance at Food Rights Alliance. Food Rights Alliance is a coalition of over 40 international, national, and local civil society organizations that work to advance the right of food in Uganda. Talking about food security is very interesting. Wow. It is something that we talk about in the background, but coming to media to actually address these issues and speak to people out there about food security is amazing. Thank you so much for having me once again. Thank you so much. Like I said, that efforts have been put in place to make sure that the challenges that have faced food security are being addressed. And well, we want to add on a voice, and I believe also the government is working so hard to make sure that all these challenges are being addressed and also are dealt with. I believe some of you were like, no, those things of food security, making sure that every household has access to food, they're for the rich people. No, they are not for the rich people. Everyone, Atkunda has just mentioned that everyone has a right to having food, and food in its proper measures. So now let's understand what it is about food security. Back to you, Atkunda. Yes, food security in simple terms, it is that you have adequate food in terms of quantity, in terms of quality, and this food should be culturally acceptable to you. You know, you can have a lot of food, but food that you can't eat, you know. Okay, you're mentioning, I think like 3 or 4 things. Yes. That it has to be in the right quantities, quality, and it has to be culturally acceptable to you as a person. Can you explain a bit? Yes. So quantity, it is that you're eating food in the right measure. That you're not eating more of one and less of the other, or you don't have anything to eat at all. Okay. Because also looking at, we know that some people go hungry with nothing to eat at all. So in terms of quantity, it is that you're eating the right measures of food, that you are satisfied, that you're okay, you know. Then when we come to quality, it is that you're eating food that actually can add to your body in terms of nutrients, that is safe for you to actually consume. Because even if you have a lot of food, if it is not safe for you to consume, it is still not food. It will not benefit the body. Yes. So when we look at quality, those are the dynamics we are looking at. And then when we look at also cultural acceptability or personal preferences, if I may talk about that, the food you have meets your personal preferences. Okay. Because we also know instances where you visit a place and you literally can't eat their food. So
because you don't like the food, or because you're not used to the food?
You're not used to the food. And you can imagine, like, if I, Claire from Western Uganda, go to Northern Uganda, I may have a catastrophe on my hands because the food system there is very different.
Yeah.
Yes. The foods on the market are different. The foods I'm used to are different. So even while I can access food and it's available, I can't consume it.
But then if you're talking about preferences, then I think here I'm looking at individuals that are in schools,
Yes.
whereby you're saying that someone has to prefer, someone has to like this particular food. And so many students out there that will tell you, hey, so now we don't like the posh and the beans, but yet it's the only food that we have to consume. Then what do you have to say about that?
Yes. Going out of space, that sometimes we are constrained.
Okay.
But if we are talking about real nutrition security and food security in its entity, it is that even schools should be meeting those needs. And that is why you find that some schools have actually adopted it. If you find some, yes, they might not meet your preferences 100%, but at least they have like they have advanced to know what do students like to eat, how can we explore into arranging meals that are helpful to them, that actually make them happy. Yeah. And of course, as we go into policies, we are going to look at the policy environment around school feeding and how it impacts all that.
That will be very nice. I believe maybe teachers, head teachers, principals are watching us right now. You are watching the Nutrition Sport, and this is Bethany TV for you. So we want to understand the current state of food security in Uganda, and I'll go to Dennis to make us understand how is it like in Uganda. Are we okay? We're doing a good job, or we just trying?
Yeah, thank you so much, Gift. And maybe to first clear the air, when you talk about, you brought in an issue about kids in primary schools.
Even in second.
Even in second. Actually, even wherever you are, you find they are preparing for you lunch.
Yes.
Meaning they are controlling your feeding.
True.
So there, it brings in the point of the food is accessed. But is it accessed physically or economically? Because you might go to the market. For example, school is budgeting. This time we have to feed our students, but how much do we have? So that is the economic stability of the school. So food security is so broad in a way that you do not look at the available food, but
Sure.
it is available, but can you afford? So the affordability brings in the other point of economic stability.
Sure.
Then I'll talk about the situation of food security in Uganda. We lack good statistics, whereby collecting all the statistics about the food security per household, like I said, it goes even up to an individual. Collecting, for example, the 24-hour record per individual, it is something so expensive. But what we saw, okay, like what the clear examples which you can talk about are regional. We looked at something that was happening in northern Uganda, Karamoja, whereby they experienced a temporary food insecurity recently, where people were dying out of malnutrition. So it was so alarming, whereby Uganda, being known as an agricultural country, but suffering something like that, whereby we have an equal distribution of the food. We have the food baskets in Western Uganda. These are districts which are producing too much food. But then
I know it's pointing the other side.
Okay.
Interesting.
So, meaning there is that thing whereby we cannot shift the food from where it is being
From one
produced
region to another.
to another.
True.
And then you talk about the stunting levels in Western Uganda.
In Western still?
Yes, because now Western Uganda is the one leading in the levels of stunting. But when you look at the production of food, it is the food basket. So here, there are so many factors explaining this, whereby you might find people in Western Uganda are majorly producing food to be sold in Central, leaving actually nothing for the kids to feed on. So all those points, when you try to merge them up, there is that unequal distribution of the food production in Uganda. And again, parents are even trying to sell the little they have to get maybe money for their children, maybe to go to school and for what. Yeah. Everything, of course, needs money. And that one draws it to one point of poverty.
Thank you so much. I think those are some of the challenges we are going to address. It's mentioned about the different components of food security. It's mentioned about the affordability, the accessibility, that you can access the food, you can afford the food, you can utilize it, but all those factors, are we at a state of us having them put into consideration apparently in Uganda? But well, we can still break down the different challenges and address how best we can deal with each one of them. So I earlier mentioned about the overpopulation, like the numbers are increasing on a daily. So what do you think at Kunda we can do to make sure that there is even equal distribution irrespective of the rising numbers?
Population growth is real in Uganda. We see when the food and nutrition policy was was being developed in 2003, we had about 20 million people in Uganda, and 20 years later we have about 46 million people in Uganda. So population growth is real, and it is moving at a very, very fast rate, and more than actually we produce our food. Because when you look at like the agro-industrialization reports, you find that population growth is like at 3%, production is like at 2.3, which means at this time we are not producing at the same rate the population is growing, and that has impact. That is why you find that we have reports in Uganda where over 10 million Ugandans go hungry and sleep hungry because they don't have food. Or you find that 40% of Ugandans spend their income on food. You know, if you have your budget, monthly budget, and 40% of it is going to food, there is a problem.
Sure.
Yes.
True.
So these are the issues we are talking about when we look at food insecurity. And he highlighted it that when, of course, ideally there are other factors apart from population growth. But when we look at a place like Western Uganda, also population growth plays into why people are like that. Of course, and the policy environment that motivates people to actually grow for the market. But yes, population growth, it can't be dealt with unless we do something about it. It needs collective effort. Yes. So maybe like today we had a discussion with the National Planning Authority, and we were looking at demographic dividends. This is how can we best utilize the working group, the working age, you know, the youth, to make them less dependent on the population, but so that they are able to actually produce and contribute to economic development. And the question was, how do we increase, because the population in Uganda is projected to be over 50 million by 2050. So actually you see how, not actually 50 million, over 70 million. 70. Yes. So the population growth, we need to have dedicated solutions
to that growth.
And I think in the Vision 2040 actually clearly stipulates that targets that we are supposed to meet when it comes to population growth.
But then still, like you mentioned earlier, that if you are still spending on food, then there is a problem.
Yes.
So, and Dennis mentioned, and then he was like, this is from individual to family to a household, and then to community, then to national, and then we shall go to international. So what do you think as individuals we can do to make sure that there is enough food production to cater for the increasing populations?
Yeah, I will first give a scenario whereby I said we have a food basket in Western Uganda. We have enough
you
food
like
production.
Western Uganda, okay.
It's just known.
Yes.
They are good at food production.
Okay.
But then again, They are the ones leading in stunting of children under 5 years. And recently we had a study whereby we are looking at the nutritional status of lower primary. And we found out that the major challenge is the household being large. This is a family which is having maybe more than 6 children. They are sending maybe 4 to one primary school. This primary school doesn't cook lunch, meaning it's the same family that will again pack food for the 4 kids going to school. So why can't they suffer from food insecurity? So looking at how we can maybe provide a solution to that, I will maybe talk about, like, before there is this thing of family planning. Can you sustain the children you have? Because the children might be there available. Yes, they will dig, they will cultivate, then you will produce the food. But we have already seen that even the food they produce, they are not going to. Maybe, okay, it might be, but they are not going to eat it because they have to sell it to get the money to take for school. So poverty, there are other ways of fighting poverty, so that maybe now we can support the children we have. That is one solution, family planning. Because we have already seen it here in Kampala. Those people who are in apartments, maybe the students in hostels and so on. Sustaining a family of 4 children in Kampala, it is something so strenuous. So the household number matters because it plays a very big role on the food security at even national level.
So, but you earlier mentioned that in Western Uganda has the biggest numbers of stunting, especially for children below the age of 5 years. So what could be the other vulnerable groups or populations that are having challenges with these food insecurities and also challenges with malnutrition?
Oh, well, when we talk about vulnerability to food insecurity, we are looking at factors that put one at risk of being food insecure. Like factors that are putting one at risk of maybe starving. We look at, for example, I've already looked at children who are below 5. These are kids probably who do not have money, who do not have jobs, who are dependent on their parents. That is one category. Then we look at the elderly. When these children grow, when these people have given birth, then their children grow, they all run to town areas, leaving these people in the village.
Look for money.
Yes, they are looking for money. But why can't they send the money to these people? So it is another category whereby the elderly are really suffering from food insecurity. They are living alone. They can no longer dig. They no longer have that energy to do these activities that require energy. Then we look at these households which are headed by women, the single mothers, because nowadays they are rampant, they are increasing. Women, they have that emotional feeling about the food security of their home. And I don't think there is any mother who can eat before the child eats. So they have that feeling. And of course they need support from their husbands. They need support from the community. But we have scenarios whereby these mothers have been divorced, maybe their husbands have died, or they do not have the access to the assets which maybe would have helped them to provide enough food for their family in terms of land. A mother might be planning to dig a certain acre of land to provide enough potatoes for the family, whereas the husband is planning coffee. So the family will not eat coffee. Yes, they can sell coffee to buy posh, but those are things that come later. Yes. Because it might meet other challenges. So those are some of the vulnerable groups, the single mothers, the children, and the elderly. Maybe.
I would like to think that all women of reproductive age are actually vulnerable, really, to food insecurity. And maybe reason. Uganda and Africa at large, we are more culturally founded people. That our cultural norms and social norms, they pin a woman to be the sole contributor at household level to food security. They are the preparers of the food, you know, you are the caretaker. By that fact that you're the caretaker, so, and our social and cultural, maybe should I say societal roles, they tend to tell us that, you know, you cannot eat before your man is served. You know, you cannot eat before your children are served.
Should we go against the odds?
So it is that these are societal roles, and so the woman is always put last when it comes to what are your food and nutrition needs. And that is why they are very vulnerable. And also looking at the factors that he highlighted.
Even the cultural aspect.
Yes, we don't have control over resources. Women don't have control over resources. And even if you have control, you don't have ownership. And all those are different factors that actually
you need first ask for permission that should I use this piece of land for this particular thing.
And then you also look at gender-based violence that comes out of food that you have produced, and the man is like, all this food is mine because, you know, I paid bride price. So what can you do? And these are very serious matters that actually affect women in the agri-food system. That when you look at all that, but also expanding from women, another group that is actually vulnerable to food insecurity and is increasing at a very fast pace are the urban poor. Uganda in its own making has not had strategies to meet food for the urban people, and yet urban areas are increasing at a very fast rate in Uganda. So we don't have any strategies to say how are we going to feed the poor, the people who are coming to towns. What is the mechanism?
There are no mechanisms. Maybe that's why you talked about the policies that should be put in place.
And that is why I said policies play a very big role, because if you don't have land to farm on, and yet we are saying agriculture is the primary, you know, source of food for Uganda. So what are we putting in place?
Thank you so much. To those that are watching Bethany TV, thank you so much. We're discussing food security in Uganda, and we're emphasizing the different components that food has to be utilized well, food has to be accessible, and food has to be, you have to be able to utilize the food, you have to be able to utilize it, it has to be available. So putting all those factors into consideration, look at maybe in your community, are you accessing the food? If you have access to it, are you able to utilize it? So all those things, and let us know what you think about the situation in your home area or in your community. Well, if you are watching us on YouTube, make it a point to let us know where you are watching us from, and if you are watching us on Facebook, also make it a point to make us understand that you are watching Bethany TV, and give us your thoughts and your contributions on the status of food security here in Uganda. You are still watching the Nutrition Spot, and I'm with Dennis and Atkunda tonight on the show. Let's get into a very quick short break. We're going to come back with more details on food security towards our nutrition.
Bethany TV for health. Are you ready for this good news? You can now watch Bethany TV on Your TV, AfroMobile, and Airtel TV apps. Yes! Catch the finest programming prescription for everybody, wherever you are, whenever you are. Bethany TV for health. Every day at lunchtime, we bring you back-to-back inspirational music videos. You request your favorite gospel music video, and we play it on the playlist. To request, go to our socials: Facebook, Bethany TV UG, and Twitter at Bethany TV. Like and follow, then type the name of the song in the comment section of the playlist post of the day by Win, win, win! Win a Bethany t-shirt and cap, cash and other prizes. Just answer our question of the day. Every time the presenter asks the question of the day, or when you see it, be among the first 20 people to respond on our social media platforms. Make sure you like and follow our Facebook and Twitter pages at Bethany TV Uganda. Then post the right answer in the comment section, providing the time the question was asked on Bethany TV, the program and the show presenter that asked the question. Was it on The Healthy Morning, on Be Hopeful, or the playlist? The winner of the day will be announced on the Sunset Lounge at 5 p.m. every weekday. Watch Bethany TV and win big. Your perfect ignition for the day's inspiration prescription is on The Healthy Morning. Start your day informed about top stories, health, tech, and travel news as we give you the day's weather and traffic, business analysis, and sports updates. Healthy Morning, every weekday at 6:30 a.m. on Bethany TV. Bethany TV, for health. Bethany TV, for health.
Thank you so much for watching Bethany TV. It is the Nutrition Spot. My name is Gifty Nakainga. We're talking about food security and its impact on our nutrition. Why is it important for you to be able to get food in the right quantity, in the right quality, and then also putting into consideration the different aspects of our culture and everything around us. So with our nutritionists with us in the studios of Bethany TV, we want to better understand how best can we challenge these different factors that have caused food insecurity in our country, Uganda. I'm going to go back to Dennis to make us really understand what are the different measures that can be put in place, or the interventions that we can put in place to make sure that food security is paramount in Uganda.
Yeah, thank you so much, Gift. And I want to maybe bring this point, of the different dimensions for achieving food security. For example, if I'm to begin with food availability, if it is in the village, it will be viewed in the terms of harvest. How much does a household harvest? Are you practicing subsistence farming, or are you doing a large crop production? So I was reading, for example, in Kenya, they have what they call them food stores, which we lack here in Uganda, whereby people can easily store up their produce. Okay, the country can store the produce in preparation for maybe if there is anything like a hunger, or what happened in Karamoja. If Uganda had a food store, it would have been so easy to solve such a problem. So the country can put up food stores for the surplus food, because we have already seen that we are producing enough. Recently, Uganda has been stuck with 23 million liters of milk, whereby this milk is supposed to be exported. And yet here in Uganda, we still have people who cannot access milk. So my find it's there, but it is expensive. So Uganda needs to provide, to construct a food basket, a food store, so that we are ready for such challenges. If there is any food aid, if we want maybe to do a food ration in a certain refugee camp and what, we have a certain store, not just first calling for, they used to call them what in COVID. Donations. You are calling for donations. Yeah, you are waiting for these rich guys to say, I have given you this. Yeah. So if you have a food store, it is actually easy for even these people who are coming in with aid to store in. Then for accessibility in terms of economic status, because that's where we view it from.
Yes.
Food on the market. Yes, you can see it physically, but you cannot touch it when it comes to economic wise.
You don't have money.
Here we can maybe improve the employment status, because she has already talked about the urban poor. People are here in urban centers, unemployed, or what we call informal employment. You are there, you don't know when the work will come. You just wake up, you be like, let me go to town. Maybe somebody will call me to carry some items and I get money. You saw that very many people, very many men, over 2 million people here in Uganda are riding borders as their source of money. That is informal employment, because on any normal day you can wake up and you have no customer. Or on any normal day you can wake up and maybe the tire is off. So that is informal employment, and that's where actually most Ugandans are employed. It is not constant, it is not consistent. And for you to be food secure, you must be having a constant supply of food and money. And maybe for utilization, that one deals with the hospitals. Do we have enough healthcare services in the country? Because people might be eating, but again they are having chronic conditions which do not allow them to process and maybe to digest well and utilize the food they eat. So definitely they will again undergo the thing called food insecurity. And maybe for the stability of the general food chain, we look at like things like transport. Recently, the road leading to Western Uganda at River Katonga was damaged. So meaning all the supply of the food going to Kampala, going to Mbale, going to Northern Uganda had to be put at a halt. Or you had to use another expensive route via the Sembabule route. So meaning the road network has to be strengthened to ensure there is constant supply of food on the market. Because we do not want these price fluctuations every time. You wake up, you go and buy your kilogram of posho at 2K, then tomorrow you come and they tell you 4K.
It's 4K.
Definitely.
It's a turn off.
It will be a total turn off. All these things actually we faced them in COVID, and I hoped it was like an eye-opener for the government and maybe Uganda at large. Because you just woke up from one day and you were like, hey, today transport has doubled, because you will have to pay for the space where you are not sitting. Likewise, you go to food stores and they be like, you have to pay extra money because what we had stocked earlier expired.
Yeah.
So those price fluctuations were showing us that actually Uganda, you are not food secure when it comes to accessibility economically. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Well, maybe we should ask Atkunda, like you mentioned earlier, that food has to be nutritious, and considering the quantity, the quality, but then I was saying, should we break go back against the odds of we eat to survive? Like someone will tell you, for us or for me, as long as I have something to put in my mouth, as long as I can come back home with anything for my family. So it doesn't matter the quality, it doesn't matter the quantity, and it doesn't matter whether it's nutritious or like, we don't look at those different components or aspects. So what do you have to say to someone that is watching us right now and they do not understand the importance of whether it's nutritious, whether it's in the right quantity or even the quality?
Okay, you see, gift for starters. If you don't have food, your first issue is not what nutrients are in the food, but whether you can fill your stomach. And for a normal person, a person who goes home, that has to be seen in that way. That for starters, and that is why food security is very, very important. Because unless people are food secure, you're assured of what you're eating tomorrow, then you only need is to fill your stomach today, and you will not mind about anything that you're consuming, because for you, you're thinking, before I go through all that, can I at least have something in my stomach? And that is understandable. So the issue is, how does our country ensure that the common person moves from me just saying I'm eating to survive to actually eat to live and to grow? And that is why social development is very important, that we are not just surviving, but we are developing, our welfares are actually developing. And that is what I always tell people, that nutrition and malnutrition, these are outcomes. They are outcomes of something. It is either you did something well and you're well nourished, or you did something well, badly and you're malnourished. So how we could ask ourselves, how is the government, what is it preparing, what is it putting in place that people can actually move from eating to survive to now moving to eating food that is needed for me to grow and be healthy.
So maybe let's go back to the point of eating to survive.
Yes,
Yeah?
yes.
Because he mentioned about the malnutrition, and then I believe there are other conditions that can come up with that. So for someone that is watching us and they are eating to survive, and also like we're talking about the socio-economic factors or constraints, and I believe your eating to survive is also affecting it's affecting the government.
Yes,
so
yes.
how best can we, before we even talk about the government coming in, how can I deal with that thing of eating to survive? Like I do not mind what I'm eating.
Okay, one, food is an investment. It is not something that, it is not just food you just put in the mouth. No, it's an investment. It is something you put so that you invest in it so that it gives you results. That is why they say nutrition is health. That if you eat well, you don't have to go to the hospital, your health costs are very low, you are very productive. So it's an investment, and as people, as a common person, you must invest in the type of food that you eat. And that is the mindset change that we need, that we're not just eating, you know, but you're eating because you're saying, how am I investing in my health? How am I investing in my body? Is what if I'm buying a tomato and it has pesticides all over, am I asking myself, is this what is going to happen to me in 10 years? Will what I'm investing maybe in land or plots, will it come back now into medical bills? So that is the mentality we need to know, that yes, we know that food may not be accessible, but for the little that you can access please consume the right food.
But if that component or that factor of accessibility is being met, and we would want still to understand the long-term implications of food insecurity on our public health and our overall well-being, because I believe there are those challenges that are long-term. So we would want to understand some of them and maybe be in position to endeavor to be very conscious and do not just eat to survive. Yes. So Dennis, what are some of those challenges that with time can impact maybe positively or even negatively our public health and our overall well-being?
Yeah, thank you so much, Gift. At the start, you said we are nutritionists talking about food insecurity. And I told you this is like a bond. These things happen, like they go with one another. For you to attain good nutritional status, you must be food secure. And I will give, it's like a vicious cycle. Let's say you are a pregnant mother and you are food insecure. You are starving, you are not eating the right amounts of food, you are not getting the right nutrients. The end result is like you are going to give a robust child, a child with low birth weight. This child will also find the same situation. Is not getting enough food, is not getting enough nutrients from the mother. The child ends up being stunted. And we looked at how nutrition is important in terms of academic performance in school. This child will end up performing poorly. This child will not go to higher education. This child will not gain any skill, not gain any certificate, and will end up being unemployed. You see the cycle. The mother was not properly fed because of food insecurity. The child of the mother, now the child has been performing poorly academically, is not going to higher institution. So the cycle continues whereby this child is unemployed and will again be food insecure. And there are high chances that this child is likely to also get married or marry someone. And their household, their household again is food insecure. So you see, from an individual, Now the child.
So we need to break that cycle.
Yeah.
And it is said, you know, we have had shifts in stunting over the years, and in 1990s.
Can you break down the stunting, because I feel like someone like Becky,
people who are
Teddy,
too short for their age.
They're what?
They're too short for their age.
As in short.
Yes, like
for their age.
At a certain age, you are supposed to have a certain weight, averagely.
Weight. Yes.
Okay, let's not confuse it with the.
Yes. So ideally, when stunting, if I may say, is like a form where you don't eat the right nutrients, and so you don't grow in height. And because stunting is just an outward look, but it also looks at brain. How does your brain also develop?
Functions.
And that is, yes, and that is why he's talking about like school performance. And for me, I wanted to input in his statistics. In 1990 to 1999, we had about, you know, stunting was about 39%. So the question we were asking ourselves is that 20 years later, we are the children of the 1990s.
Yes.
How are we faring in this? How is our productivity at work? Does that reflect, do you see, and you say, I think this is actually the outcome of you know, what we were eating during those times.
Yes.
Yes.
So academically, meaning you
Someone is affected.
Yeah, you are affected.
Yeah.
And now this will again affect the health sector. That's why we have so many cases on the hospital. Then again, now this health sector, instead of the government channeling money maybe to other services, they're investing it in health. They're investing it in actually conditions which are already manifesting. Instead of fighting back, and you break the chain at some later stage so that you prevent the other bigger burden in the future. Yeah.
And everyone was concerned about how is the budget going to be like, how much money are they going to allocate to this particular sector, the health sector. But well, if you want to understand and get to dissect well, better understand how much was allocated where, in the morning on Bethan TV we have health morning, so you can tune in and understand if you didn't get time to really understand anything in the budget. So in the morning, tune in, you're going to really understand what exactly was being said and how much was allocated to where. So we're still talking about food security, and we want to see whether we have any policies or policies that are put in place to make sure that someone that is contributing to food insecurity is really dealt with, maybe at individual level, or maybe it could be at national or even international level. So, but if you are watching us on YouTube, thank you so much. Do not forget to subscribe. Same thing on Facebook. Don't forget to like and to follow, and on Instagram and Twitter, do the same. Kindly follow and like Bethan TV. So as we are winding up with the topic of discussion tonight, we want to see whether we have any policies that are favoring us, putting into consideration, like we started with the point of the overpopulation of our country, Uganda. And if you look at the population pyramid of Uganda, we have a population that is kind of expansive, though we still have the stationary and then the constrictive. But I'm going to go to Atkunda to tell us about this expansive population before we go to the policies, because I feel like they target that particular group. So you said that the youths, I didn't know that the youths are dependent. I thought we have personally, I really thought that we have these people in the stationary kind of population pyramid, the elderly, that are the ones that are dependent. But if you're coming out loud and then you're saying that also the youths who are in the expansive they're also dependent, then it makes me really get scared. But make us understand.
It is very simple. Imagine you're at home, you've finished campus, you finish your education and you don't have a job. Who gives you food? Who gives you shelter?
You have us.
So you are depending on somebody to actually meet your needs.
True.
And if we are talking about the high levels of unemployment among the youth, then the unemployed Ugandans are depending on somebody, and that is why we have a high dependency rate in Uganda,
which is very constrictive. So now, what do we have any policies that have been put in place, like about food security particularly?
Yes, true, we do. We have the 2003 Food and Nutrition Policy, but I would like to highlight at this point that the policy, legal and institutional architecture of food and nutrition in Uganda is very weak, very, very weak. And while we have these laws, we also have laws that are, should I say, divergent. So you have these contradictory policies that are in there. So this is an aspect that food security, when we talk about food security, you are minding about the local economy. You're minding about the person at the household level. Then you also have things like the agriculture policy that is telling you, you know, produce for the market.
Yeah.
And that is why earlier we highlighted that people produce food, but they sell it. And it doesn't just happen like that. It's because the enabling environment has populated, it has showed it so that people can find it better to produce and sell than produce and consume.
They actually sell the best.
Yes, you sell the best and live for yourself. So it is all about the policy environment. We do, and currently we are pushing for the review of the 2003 Food and Nutrition Policy. Like I told you, this policy was developed when we didn't have NCDs in Uganda. Stunting was very high, but also the population was very low. So we are not working in the same context, and that is why we are saying these policies have to be revised to actually be responsive to the needs of the people.
Yes. Thank you so much. Under the challenges, when we were starting, we mentioned about climate change, and someone will tell you that increasing anger, maybe it's due to the different changes in the climate, or that kind of crisis that we have. So to you, Dennis, you talked about the food reserves that maybe Uganda as a country, it needs to enhance having these kinds of stores or reserves. So that is at maybe national level. Can we have the same maybe at a community based or individual based?
Yeah, well, one thing I want to appreciate these days is at least the government is aware that kids were not eating from school. That's why it was emphasizing.
It's what?
The government is aware that the children are not eating from school. Most of the kids there in village schools.
They do not eat?
Yeah, from schools.
But they eat from home?
Yeah, meaning the schools cannot prepare lunch. That's why it was advocating for at least porridge. Because food security, you can imagine the child leaves home early in the morning, and at home they expect the child only at lunchtime. So meaning the child is only surviving on what he or she ate last night. So the government brought up that suggestion of at least the school should at least provide porridge as maybe a break, as a breakfast for these kids. Then again, all secondary schools, it is a must for them to prepare lunch for the students. That's a very good strategy. Then they were also advocating for mothers in working sector. At least you are supposed to have a breastfeeding room for the child, for those mothers who are having babies. That was also a very good strategy by the government. But then here comes an issue of the youth. Because now there is a lot of unemployment, and yet we are having so many graduates and maybe people who are actually willing to work. And another scenario is whereby these people do not want to go to the village. They want to be employed in the other white-collar jobs.
What would you advise, which kind of advice would you give to the youth? Actually, the time is running so fast, just in a minute.
Yes, for the youth, one thing, one, you have to be creative, because you will not find a big job out of the blue. So you start small. You add on, you connect to people, they connect you to other places. So at the end of the day, you will find where you can be secure. So you just be creative and be open-minded, talk to people. Do not overlook jobs, do not overlook opportunities.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Dennis. Yes, Claire, just in less than a minute, give us your the message maybe for the government or to anyone you would want to address it?
Yes, I think for me the message is, and also looking at today being the budget day, yes, that Uganda should actually invest in food security. We should stop these ad hoc methods of addressing food security. At this point, famine in Karamoja should not be a surprise to us. These are things we should plan for. We should invest, allocate budgets for food security. Food security doesn't just happen, it takes effort. And therefore it is immoral to find that in a Uganda where we have a lot of resources, that people actually go to bed hungry.
So what would you have to tell individuals? I think I'm so much onto the other issue of not just eating to survive.
Yes.
Yeah, what do you have to tell the individuals?
For individuals, I reiterate.
In relation to climate crisis.
Maybe to the person out there, climate change is a discussion for you. It is not something that the elites only do. We have to localize and know that when the climate is changing and we are not receiving rain in March when it was supposed to come in March, it is affecting you, it is affecting your crops, it is something that you should be interested in, and even get local solutions to actually address these challenges. And of course, like I have already said, food is an investment. Nutrition is an investment. It doesn't just happen out of the blue.
Yes.
So you have to plan. You have to plan for what you're going to eat straight from the farm. If you are a farmer, straight from the time of planting, you must say, I'm planting this for home consumption. I'm planting this for my children. It is something you must invest in.
Thank you so much, Atkunda. Thank you so much, Dennis. You've done as well. And to our online viewers, you're doing a very, very great job. Do not forget that at Bethan TV, we actually give out gifts. If you've seen our promotions, we give out gifts, we give out money, as in cash, yes, such that you can buy some food if you would want to buy food. But we also give out capes, we give out Bethan TV t-shirts, we give out so many things. So you can even ask for what you want, but just make sure that you watch Bethan TV. If there is any question that is being asked in any particular program, be the very number one person to answer that particular question on our different social medias. Like I said, that is on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. So if you answer, we're going to make it a point that we reach out to you to give you a gift. It could be money. Now for me, I love money, so that's why I'm emphasizing money. I don't like t-shirts, so it could be money. So make it a point to watch Bethan TV all the time. If there is any question, be that number one person that is going to answer that particular question. So back to food security, we believe that as a country, we're putting in efforts to make sure that everyone has access to food, to make sure that food is available, and also to make sure that food is properly utilized. That's why we come out here on the Nutrition Spot to teach you about these particular things, that you are able to fully utilize food the way it's supposed to be utilized. So thank you so much. I want to thank so much the Nutrition Rehabilitation Center for making it a point that we always have these experts onto the Nutrition Spot. So till next Thursday, we are Bethan TV for health. Good night.
Bethany TV for health.